There is a massive problem in the way that we are teaching software developers and a huge gap in the market that I only see a couple of people in companies kind of filling. And I noticed this when I kind of started moving into a different tier of software developer. I'm not going to call myself just like an unbelievably cracked software developer. I'm trying to get there. But the problem is that we have got some fantastic resources, or at least plentiful resources, for brand new developers. This right here, we have got solved, okay? And I've got this divided up into 3 tiers, but that doesn't really, it's not a great way to divide developers. And there's no real kind of boundary between these things. So I'm not going to say there's a clean divide between new developers and mid developers. There's a clean divide between mid developers and senior plus developers. And even at senior plus, there's principal, there's all of this other stuff. We've got the new developer education thing solved. Okay, we have got tons of resources for new developers. We have got Udemy. That is way too small. Let's see. Let's do extra large. We've got Udemy. We've got free code camp. We have got YouTube. We have got blogs. We have got all of this different stuff for new developers. There are tons of entry-level courses. There are tons of boot camps. There are tons of free resources, tons of blogs that are written for these people. And that's a great thing. I will not ever say that we need to stop making those things. Most of my content, honestly, is targeting new developers. Most of the stuff that I put out on Twitter, most of the stuff that I put out on YouTube, targeted towards new developers. Okay? Senior developers, that is a different sphere of folks. Okay? Senior developers, honestly, don't need much. They've got white papers. They've got their jobs. Typically, if you're a senior developer, in your job, you are doing senior developer stuff. They typically don't put senior developers in and have them do simple React UIs. Okay, they typically have juniors to do that. Now, if you're working in at a small startup and you've got just a couple of people on your team, that's different. Obviously, that you're going to be seeing a lot of senior developers doing all kinds of stuff. But at Fang, you've got a guy that you're paying $450,000 a year and giving away tons of stock to, and you're going to tell him hey, I need you to go and change these Tailwind classes so that this button looks this way. No, you're not doing that. Unless that person is working on the entire web application, they're typically not messing around with the stuff that juniors can do. So you've got white papers, you've got jobs, you've got all kinds of, different opportunities in academia. And frankly, this is the biggest thing. Senior developers aren't looking around for new opportunities to become better. They kind of already know. A senior developer is much better at knowing, okay, here are my gaps in my skills. Here are different projects that I can do. So you're not going to find senior developers jumping into Discord saying, hey, I need a new project to work on. Somebody tell me what to work on. That's not going to happen. And that's not me crapping on new developers. That's new developers are new developers. Senior developers aren't typically doing that. So you're probably seeing the gap here. The gap is mid developers. And I know this because I am a mid developer. There's not a ton out there to take you from a noob who doesn't know what they're doing and is just, basically mainlining Udemy and free code camp tutorials and YouTube and blogs. Mid developers can't sit there and read a white paper on artificial intelligence and machine learning and really grasp it at the level that senior developers can, but they also really don't need to take another boot camp on React. So typically what you see for mid developers, the big recommendation that I have is to do projects. So project-based learning. Okay, that's huge at every level. So project-based learning can apply for mid developers, new developers, and senior developers. Okay, everybody needs to be doing project-based learning. Don't just sit there and look at a book or read a blog and not implement anything. Senior developers know this. I'm not really preaching to them right now. New developers frequently don't. They'll just sit there and sit in tutorial hell. Mid developers, this is where project-based learning is unbelievably important, is once you've reached this tier in your learning and become a mid developer. But you kind of need to constantly be challenging yourself in those projects. And that is the hard part. For a new developer, a to-do list app is challenging. For a mid developer, you've probably already written 4 or 5 of them in a couple of different frameworks. So like, what else do you really have? So I was contacted a couple of weeks ago by somebody from CodeCrafters. And to the people who are going to click off of this video just because you're hearing a sponsorship message, hold on and let me talk. So the person from CodeCrafters reached out and they said, hey, your channel looks like it kind of vibes with our message. We would love for you to check out the platform and, give it a shot. So they, full transparency, I am a CodeCrafters partner now. Mainly because when I checked it out, I was like, that's it. That is what the industry is kind of missing out on right now, is that real project-based learning for mid-tier developers. So if we go to CodeCrafters, codecrafters.io, and I will drop a link in the description for my affiliate tag so that when you sign up, it gives me some credit and I think you get a discount as well. But if you go over to CodeCrafters, the thing that I love about CodeCrafters, okay, is that the projects that you are learning from, let's see if I can find them. I think they're towards the bottom. Let's see. So the courses that you've got, they call them courses, and they are kind of courses, but they're really guided projects. And I think that's what's super valuable about CodeCrafters in general. I'm currently working through Build Your Own BitTorrent. So if we go over to Build Your Own BitTorrent, it gives you a full breakdown of what this project is, okay? BitTorrent, obviously peer-to-peer file sharing protocol, primarily known for writing the high seas of piracy, if you know what I mean. But this walks you through an entire implementation of the BitTorrent protocol, or a BitTorrent protocol, a similar protocol to BitTorrent. And you can do it in any of these languages. Obviously, I'm doing it in Rust because I love myself, but you can do it in Golang, which is fine. Python, why would you do that? C, C#, C++, why would you do any of those? TypeScript, ugh. But you can work on all of these projects in any language that you want. And it gives you the experience of not just reading along a blog, or not just floundering along with a kind of silly project like another to-do list app or another calculator app or something like that. It gives you something that's actually going to teach you a lot. You're going to learn network protocols. You're going to learn, how to do peer-to-peer communication. That's huge. That's something that obviously I have not really gone through this entire thing yet. But there's a ton there that's really, really cool and interesting that can really kind of level you up and take you from this mid-tier developer and start pushing you a little bit further this way. Okay? So that is what CodeCrafters is built for. CodeCrafters is built to take mid-tier developers and level them up, which is huge. That is a massive gap in the market, in my opinion. And I think really CodeCrafters is ahead of the game there in providing an interface for mid-tier developers to level up and become senior plus developers. So, like I said, I am a partner with CodeCrafters. I am getting money from CodeCrafters when people sign up. I'm not going to cover that up because that would be silly. But I genuinely do think that CodeCrafters is filling a gap in the market that has needed to be filled for quite a while, because mid-tier developers don't have near as many resources to level them up as new-tier developers do. That's about it. Go check out CodeCrafters and go work on some damn projects, because that's the only way that you're going to get better. Take it easy.